how frustrated is he, and does he have a right to be upset with the lack of targets? And honestly, if you go through the numbers, the answer is 100% yes. What's up, guys? Thomas Mott here. Welcome to the Thomas Mott Show on a Thursday. We're getting closer and closer to Monday Night Football, but let's go ahead and jump into all the stuff happening with the Philadelphia Eagles, some news, some crazy conspiracy theories, and the rest in terms of looking at Devonta Smith today. He's a big focus of today's show. I want to jump into an Instagram post that came out a couple of days ago. This came out after the Thursday Night Football win, where Devonta Smith, again, for the past couple of weeks, has had some lackluster numbers, and we'll go through those in a second. But this kind of got me thinking, is Devonta Smith unhappy with his current state of usage in the Eagles offense? Is he maybe a little bit jealous of A.J. Brown? And while you say, Thomas, that's ridiculous, Devonta Smith is the ultimate team player, he would never have any of those issues. He might not say them out loud, but I think there have been a couple of hints that maybe Smitty wishes he got a couple of more touches each game, which, as we'll see, is something Philadelphia should 100% do, because Devonta Smith is an absolute monster. Okay, let's go ahead and start, of course, with the Instagram post. You see it on your screen here. I had to go to Reddit to find this because this was a story, and so, not a lot of people actually had it saved. This is from Devonta Smith's official Instagram account. I just want to let y'all know, I don't give a blank about y'all's fantasy team, laughy face. Now, why would he say this, right? Let's think about this. Why would he say this? One, because people are probably messaging him saying, hey, Devonta, you're supposed to be wide receiver 1 or 2 in my fantasy team. You're not producing at a level right now. You've got to get it together. And so he's probably got enough of those messages and heard enough of the buzz about how he's not the same receiver from last year, or he maybe dropped off a little bit, and he's frustrated by it. And that leads me into this conversation of how frustrated is he, and does he have a right to be upset with the lack of targets? And honestly, if you go through the numbers, the answer is 100% yes. Now, I'll emphasize, every single player in the National Football League, except for a couple of big-time ego guys, would take winning over numbers. Most of them would, right? If right now, Eagles are 8-0, Devonta Smith would never come out and be like, guys, get me the ball more. This is ridiculous, because they're 8-0. And he did do an interview with the Philadelphia Inquirer we'll talk about in a second here. But let's just say Philadelphia was losing right now. Say they were 3-5, I think Smith would 100% be voicing his concerns a little bit more, because you look at the numbers here, right? You go to the Week 1 win against the Detroit Lions, 0 catches, right? Then he has a pretty good night against Minnesota, 7 for 80, a good game against Washington, 8 for 169. And then look at this. Besides the Arizona game, 3 catches. 5 catches, 5 catches, 2 catches. He never goes over 50 yards in 4 of the last 5 games. And you start to kind of go, man, this is a guy who was almost a 1,000-yard receiver last year, who's better than what he was last year. He 100% needs to go ahead and get the football. Now, there is the A.J. Brown effect, and A.J. Brown and Devonta and Jalen Hurts clearly have a connection together, and you want A.J. Brown to get his targets. But I do think that Hurts needs to start spreading the football around maybe a little bit more to keep Devonta Smith involved and to keep the defenses honest, because they're queuing in on A.J. Brown right now, and he's making a lot of great, double-team catches you saw in the Pittsburgh Steelers game. But that means Devonta Smith has one-on-one opportunities, and you need to start exposing those a little bit more than what the Eagles have done so far this year. Now, there's a great write-up here from CBS Sports' Jeff Kerr in looking at an overall interview. I think he had a sit-down with Devonta Smith, and you get, again, some little hints that maybe Smith's a little bit upset with the lack of targets, and I'll show you why I think that here. The first question, he says, you're having a pretty good year so far. What do you think you can improve on as the year goes on? And Smith says, quote, just continue to stat. Every week is different. The game plan changes. You just never know. Just depends on what teams are trying to do. I'm just going to continue to do what I'm doing and keep building. With the guys we have on offense, you never know whose game it's going to be. I just got to be in the moment and be ready when the number is called, end quote. So you kind of hints there, right? You never know who's going to go off in this offense. That's the beauty of the Eagle offense. But there does seem to be some lulls in a couple of game stretches here where Devonta Smith is not that guy. And he doesn't need to be a 15-catch guy a game, but I think he needs to be at least right up there with A.J. Brown in terms of 9 targets, 10 targets to try to go ahead and get him over 100 yards, because the offense will flow even better than it already is. He was then asked what steps he'd been working on from year 1 to year 2. Smith said, quote, biggest thing is staying healthy. The little bruises and things like that come around in a long season. Season is so long, so you have to stay healthy. And it's a major step that I made this year compared to last year, taking care of my body more. He would then go on to say about the 8-0 Eagles, quote, this is the way this team connects. Everybody's there as a team instead of worry about individual accolades. That's good. Things like that. Everybody has bought into what Coach Sirianni is preaching. I think that's why our record is 8-0. Our message is one game at a time. That's always been the message, even last year. Things in the past aren't necessarily going to help you besides correcting your mistakes. What you did in the past doesn't matter. If you go into the next week and you don't play to the standard, you are going to lose. And he goes on to talk about how much, A.J. Brown has helped his game out in terms of being a mentor, but he looks up to Julio Jones. It's a really good interview overall, and you should definitely check it out on CBS Sports' website. But I think you do get a little bit of a hint there that he understands that there are going to be a lot of weeks where it's just not his week. There are going to be a lot of days where it's just not his day, and that's just because the offense, one day is going to be a Jalen Hurts rushing attack, one day it's going to be Miles Sanders, one day it's going to be A.J. Brown, and as you saw in the Washington game, one day it is going to be Devonta Smith. And so, while I don't want to spread the panic, alert here saying Devonta Smith is so mad right now and he hates this football team, that's far from it. I do think there is enough of a little bit of breadcrumbs leading to a trail showing you that Devonta Smith definitely wishes he was getting more targets, and I think, honestly, he probably does. And if Devonta Smith's not getting enough, think about what Quez Watkins is going through, because Quez Watkins is barely being targeted at all as an Eagle. So it's a byproduct of the league. It's a byproduct of this current Eagle offense that they run. Again, they're winning football games, so we can't really complain, but it is interesting to read and see that I think Devonta Smith 100% needs to be getting more targets going forward, and maybe he has a massive game on Monday night. Who knows? Okay, speaking of Monday Night Football, DraftKings has a great promo for Eagle fans right now here on my show with the link down below where you bet $5 on the Eagles to win. I mean, literally just first money line bet. You get 200 in free bets if they win. Like, this is a crazy good deal. And so far, if you would have done this each week this year, then you would have, of course, won any week that you would have done it, right? Now it's the first bet, and so 1 week only works. But if you guys have not signed up for DraftKings yet, you not use my link down below, it'll take you to this screen. You would go ahead and sign up. You go ahead and create your account. You just put $5 down on the Eagles money line if they win on Monday night, which I think you think that they will. You're going to go ahead and get $200 in free bets. So jump in on this deal right now. It's a limited time, and it is a really good deal from DraftKings. Okay, I want to move over here to what an NFL exec said about the Philadelphia Eagles. This comes via Bleeding Green Nation as they look at an ESPN Plus article. And this whole idea of Philadelphia needing to lose, I want to show you what an unnamed NFL exec said about the Philadelphia Eagles, which to me is very funny. It's comical how hot this take is. Quote, "I can see the Eagles being one and done. They haven't had to go 15 rounds with anybody yet," an NFL exec said. "I just wonder if they are battle-tested. I think a few late-season losses would actually help them. They live in an RPO world with Hurts, and that's a good place to be. He has a system and a lot of talent around him and should be able to handle the rest." He goes on to say the defense is pretty good. They probably don't have enough firepower on offense to get it done, but don't discount their chances. That was on the Giants as well. And so it's a very interesting article which goes into how this guy thinks that the Dallas defense is better than the Eagle defense, which is ridiculous, and how OBJ could impact if he signs with the Dallas Cowboys. But to say that the Eagles have not been battle-tested yet, to me, it's one of the dumbest takes you can have from any sort of GM or national media. Now, Philadelphia, I do agree to the point that they will lose at some point, and it'll probably be a good thing because it centers them a little bit, it refocuses them a little bit. But to say that, you have to lose in order to win a Super Bowl is ridiculous. There is a football team that has done it, and there was another football team that almost did it in the New England Patriots back in 2006. And so this idea that the Eagles have not been battle-tested because they're running over every single team that they played is insane. And I'll actually push back a little bit. There has been a little bit of battle-testedness, if that's even a word. Think about the Dallas Cowboy game. That was a blowout game. Dallas comes back. Philadelphia needs a drive to score to win, and they do. Think about the Arizona game. Arizona pesky in that one. Not the best day from Jalen Hurts. They need a field goal to go ahead and get them ahead to, basically not only force overtime, but potentially force a miss from the Cardinals, and they were able to do so. They've been battle-tested. Think about being down 14 points to the Jacksonville Jaguars in the rain at home. That was a battle-tested. I mean, they were down at halftime, or at least almost down at halftime. In that one, they've had plenty of battles. They just keep winning them. And you can't start, hurting or mocking football teams that aren't winning or that are winning football games because they aren't battle tested. And guess what? They will be battle tested. I think Monday night, a lot closer than a lot of people think. A double-digit right now favorite is Philadelphia. I think that's going to be a one-score game. I think it's going to be closer than a lot of people realize because the Commanders are playing better with Taylor Heineke. I think you can't discount Aaron Rodgers on Sunday night. The Titans are going to be a tough matchup. You get the Giants twice, right? They're going to be battle-tested. But this idea that Philadelphia has not been battle-tested at all, they played nobody. They've beaten the two best teams in the NFC record-wise in the Vikings and then the Dallas Cowboys. So can only do as much as, only play who's in front of you. It's just funny. It's funny to watch. It's very, very ridiculous. If you guys agree that Philadelphia is battle-tested and has won every single battle, give the show a thumbs up. I'd appreciate that. And be sure to subscribe down below for plenty more great Eagles news, rumors, and in terms of NFL stuff as well as we always do at the end of the show. I would greatly appreciate that. Okay, our final story of the day, we go to the NFL national story. This is a very interesting article here in terms of 2022 NFL midseason win total projections. So they try to go ahead and kind of guess where teams are going to be end of the year record-wise, and it's pretty darn good news for Philadelphia if Cynthia, I think Friedland is how you say her last name, is right. So she has Philadelphia at over-under 14.5 wins, and obviously they would go ahead and make the playoffs. 14 wins means they are 100% the 1 seed, and they are the clear favorites, regardless of being battle-tested or not, in terms of winning a Super Bowl. And 14 wins means they'd have about 3 losses. So you're going to have some of those losses that they talked about in that previous story, but 14 wins for Philly is huge. The Vikings at 12.9, right there around 13, I think is fair. It does show you that they would have to be, pushing to kind of get to Philadelphia's 1 seed, but hard to do because Eagles already beat the Vikings. That's good news. That's definitely a team that's going to be a 2 seed and you could face in a potential NFC Championship game rematch of 2017. Dallas at 11, I think, is very fair. I think Dallas has 6 wins right now. Their schedule is not necessarily as easy as the Eagles' schedule going out, and I think 11 wins would put them, right there at the 3 or the 4, right there at the 5 seed because the Eagles would win the division and be a football team. Philadelphia probably has to play one more time in the playoffs if they, were to be the 1 seed versus the 5 in a potential matchup. Niners at 14, you get down to the Giants at 10, that put them at kind of the 6 or the 7 seed, and then you see the Seattle at 9 and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 8. If this currently stood still, if this was actually the overall record prediction, that would mean that, let's just count it out, there's your 1 seed, there's your 2 seed, there's your 5 seed. That would go ahead and mean that the 49ers are the 3 seed. Okay, I gotta get this right. There's your 6 seed, there's your 7 seed. The Bucs would go ahead and be the 4 seed, right? So that means the lowest winning seed would play Philadelphia as the 1 seed, meaning you probably see either a team like Seattle, the New York Giants, or obviously the Dallas Cowboys being a 5 seed as your first round matchup, or I should say your second round matchup, your divisional round matchup, if the Eagles, in fact, were going ahead and being the 1 seed. So it's fun to look at these projections. It's fun to kind of think about it and figure it out and kind of go like, okay, what's going to happen? It's going to be fascinating to see how many more wins Philadelphia has before their first loss, and if they can get to double digits in terms of getting to 9-0 and 10-0 and beyond, because the 1 seed to me is crucial and a big, big part of Philadelphia's chances at winning a Super Bowl. All right, that is it for us today on the Thomas Mott Show. Plenty more content coming up next couple of days and weeks here. I want to make sure you guys have everything you need to get ready for Monday Night Football. I'm going to take a deep dive into the actual playoff picture in a future show, so stay tuned for that one. And I also am going to look at needing to use Trey Sermon. I think they need to use Trey Sermon and Robert Quinn a lot more, and I'm going to do a show on that one as well coming up. So be sure to subscribe. Plenty of great content. We're almost to 6K subs here on the Thomas Mott Show, which is crazy, and I appreciate each and every one of you guys. And so give yourself a pat on the back and thumbs up the show to help it continue to grow. Again, I'm Thomas Mott. That's it for the Thomas Mott Show. See ya.